Okay, well, welcome everyone virtually or in person to the HSTP meeting. I think we just informally did some introductions in person, but why don't we go around the room since we have some people here and just again say your name for everyone and where you work, who you represent. So go ahead.
I'm J. Thomas House. I'm on the Starr County Board.
Gabriel Guevara, Tri-County.
Ray Lee's Planning Program Manager for Tri-County.
Brandon Hovey, Tazewell County Board Member.
Excellent. And then for everyone else, I will go through the roll call. And if I don't call your name, then we'll get to you at the end. Make sure we have everyone accounted for. So, all right, I'm going to go down my list. Let me know if you are here. Shelley Entrican. Barb Long. Doug Manick. Audra Miles.
Here.
Mark Rudolph. Pamela Usher. I see that you're on, so I'm gonna. There we go. Thanks. Hannah Fuchs. I heard you earlier. I'm gonna mic.
Who did you say?
Hannah Fuchs.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I'm here.
There we go. David Luders.
Here.
Got it. Mary Patton.
Here.
Andrew Dwyer. I'm gonna skip his name. He's no longer here. Tracy Dowell. J. Thomas House.
Yes. Present.
Joe Roberts. Brandon Hovey.
Here.
Tyler Rogers. Mike Hutchinson. Don Harper.
Here.
Adam Duvall.
Here.
Angel Marinich. Renee Razzo.
Here.
There we go. Chris Mitchell.
Hello. I'm here on the phone.
Got it. Thank you, Chris. Don Rulis. And Greg Cassidy.
Yep, I'm here.
Got it. Okay, so if I didn't call your name, I'm gonna go down my list. Let's see, we have, actually, if I didn't call your name, why don't you let me know who's here then? Oh, Mark Rudolph, I'll mark you as here. I see Jacob Irish.
Hi, yeah, Jacob Irish, Western Illinois Area Agency on Aging. Thank you.
Got it. And I also see Angel has joined as well. So let me find your name. Yes.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm out there. It might be a little,
Got it.
connection might be a little rough.
Okay. Is there anyone who I missed? I see Doug Rolfs. Is that you?
Yep, that's me.
Got it. Okay. I believe and Connie Sheely, I have you as well. And I believe that's everyone. So.
I have Audrey Barrett.
Oh, yes, of course. You were on from the very beginning.
It's okay. I want to make sure.
Thanks. Let me see if we have a quorum here. All right, we do have a quorum today. Thank you. So I'll move on to public comment. Does anyone have public comment? All right, seeing none, I'll go on to the approval of the minutes. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Brandon? Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second from Mr. House. All right, does anyone have comments on the minutes from the last meeting? Right. Seeing none, last chance, and actually I do hear some feedback, so I'm just gonna mute anyone who has feedback. Okay, all right, so seeing none, we all in favor to approve the minutes. I will do a quick roll call vote. Oh, I see Shelley Entrick has joined, so we're voting to approve the minutes. So I'll just say yes or no, please. Shelley Entrick.
Yes.
All right, Audra Miles,
Yes.
Mark Rudolph,
Yes.
got it. Pamela and Usher,
Yes.
got it, thank you. Hannah Fuchs,
Yes.
thank you. David Luders,
Yes, I'm here.
okay, thank you. Mary Patton,
Yes.
all right. J. Thomas House,
Yes.
Brandon Hovey,
Yes.
Don Harper,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Duvall,
Yes.
all right. And Angel Marinich,
Yes.
Renee Razzo,
Yes.
Chris Mitchell, I think you might be muted, Chris. I think we're gonna move forward. Greg Cassidy,
Sorry, yes. Chris Mitchell, yes.
got it.
Yes, for Greg Cassidy.
Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. Yes, that passed. All right, so now we will move to agenda item number 4, and that is a public hearing for the Title VI program with environmental justice consideration and limited English proficiency plan and public participation plan. That is a mouthful. Hold on, there's a little bit of feedback here. I'm gonna try to find parts of that. Here we go. Okay, I believe that is better now. Okay, so it's a little bit of a mouthful, but it is, I'll hand it over to Michael Bruner with Tri-County, and he'll just talk about what that is and what we're doing about it.
Thanks, Rudolph. Before we do that, can we actually get a motion to enter into a public hearing?
Yes, okay,
First, Brandon Hovey.
got it. Thank you, Brandon. Can we have a second to enter into public hearing?
I'll second it, Mary Patton.
I'll put Mary for that one. All right, thank you, Michael. You can go ahead.
All right, thank you. Tri-County staff has been working to kind of, well, just to back up a little bit, I think during Rima's report, she's kind of going to go over some 5310 funds and to make sure that we're eligible for those funds. Tri-County staff went through the process of updating our mandatory Title VI policy and our public participation plan. So to do that, we have to go through a public comment period, which is 45 days. So we're in that period right now. It started on May 10th. It'll end here on June 23rd and this is the third public hearing. We had one on May 19th at our PUATS Technical Committee, and we had one last week, May 27th, at our PUATS Policy Committee. This is the third and final public hearing regarding this. So just kind of go over quickly what Title VI is. Title VI is part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and requires that no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participating, be denied the benefits of, or subject to discrimination under any program or activity funded by federal assistance. And so part of that, for receiving 5310 funding from the FTA, we have to make sure that we comply with this act, and FTA circular 4702.1b requires us to have a plan. So we updated this plan. It needs to be updated every 3 years. And it just kind of outlines all the federal policy and procedures that we're required to have to ensure that there is no discrimination. And so our Title VI plan also includes some environmental justice considerations. So that just kind of builds on top of the Title VI policy by considering impacts to low income and other disadvantaged populations. And then also in terms of updating the Title VI program, we also want to make sure that we address any language assistance needs in our community, in our region. So we also have in the appendices, we have a plan that makes sure that we have a language assistance plan, and this kind of goes over the things that we do to ensure that everyone has meaningful access to the work that Tri-County does. So we do that as well. And then a part of the Title VI plan is to have a public participation plan. We have one, but we thought that this would be a perfect time to kind of update our existing public participation plan, which was updated in 2017, I believe. Just because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, we wanted to make sure that we included lessons learned from kind of experiencing planning virtually. So we made sure to update that, included virtual meetings in the plan. And then we also Raymond and I worked a lot on the 2020 census, and public partnership was very important in that process. And so kind of continuing with that theme, we talked with various community organizations throughout our region just to see kind of their best management practices that they do for public participation plan, and just kind of talk about and gain those connections for maybe future working together just to get the word out about the stuff that Tri-County does, and for Tri-County to help get the word out for them as well on any kind of programs that they're offering. And so we updated that as well. We did a survey where we advertised it in our monthly newsletter, on our website, social media, and also did some direct and got some feedback that way. So like I said, this is the last of the 3 public hearings. I would be happy to go into any more detail if anyone has questions.
Right, so these are 2 documents that can be found on our website.
Yes.
While it's still under the public comment period.
Yeah, thank you for that, Rima. And then also we do have 20 review sites, and so those are just the 20 libraries within the urbanized area of Peoria-Pekin area. So if those that do not have access to the internet, they can review both these plans there as well, and of course at our offices as well.
Rima, just a point on that, and Michael, Is there any kind of monitoring of that as far as that activity, or as it's going on, or do you just kind of wait for the final results and public comment from those sites at the end?
We just wait at the very end,
Okay.
contact them to see if they have. I don't think we've actually ever had a comment at a library before, but
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because if you put it out there for that very purpose and you get 0 responses, then it kind of begs the question of whether we ought to, look at another mode. But that might be for another day. But I was just curious because I wasn't, we have a lot of these meetings and we ask for public comment, yet we never get any public comment because they're either not aware of the meetings or not aware of the input side. So anyway, just a question, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully with this public participation plan, we kind of, especially after COVID, and like Michael said, after working with different organizations with the census, we recognize that there are different routes to go to make what we do more available to the public. So
Yeah, that's good. Good point.
When you said Peoria area libraries, would that include libraries in the outlying counties like Stark and Marshall?
no, so this one is specific to the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission.
Okay.
And so if it's any official documents that we put out for our Tri-County
Okay.
area. Yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate all the comments and questions. Can we close the session? Going once, going
we
twice?
need a motion to close.
Okay, I figured I missed something there. All right, so can we have a motion, please, to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
All right, so we have Mr. House. Can we have a second, please, to close the public hearing?
I'll second that, Mary Patton.
Mary, got you. Okay, now the hearing has been closed. Excellent. So we move now to agenda number 5, provider and agency updates. So for anyone who is new, we do have a couple new individuals on the committee. We basically go down the list of committee members and they just give us a very short report about what their organization has been up to, specifically regarding public transit. Or if you're new, if you want to just introduce yourself, feel free to do so. So I'm just going to go down my list I have here. So Shelley Entrikin for Fulton FCRC, FCRT. Do you have any updates you want to share?
I don't have anything, thanks.
Got it. All right. How about Dr. Miles at Fulton County?
Nothing to report.
All right. Mark Rudolph with KCCDD.
Just that we're enjoying our 2 new vehicles and the clients are thrilled to be in such a nice vehicle. We like the new ones. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. How about Pamela and Usher?
Nothing new to report yet, but thank you guys.
All right. Thank you, Pam. And Pam is with the city of Galesburg. All right. Next on my list, I have Hannah Fuchs, who's the new Marshall Stark PCOM.
Hello, I have no news to report.
All right, thank you, Hannah. Next, we have David Luders from the Marshall County Board. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, you are. Thank you. Yeah, brand new to Marshall County Board and obviously this committee, so nothing new.
Excellent. Thank you and welcome, Dave. All right, how about Mary Patton?
Nothing new, nothing new.
All right, we're moving along quickly here. Next on my list is Mr. House. Would you like to share anything with the group?
I'm so new that I don't know what I'd be sharing to you, so
Okay,
thank you.
that's fine. And we have people like that as well, so that is no problem at all. All right, next we have Brandon Hovey. Anything you'd like to comment about?
Nothing germane to really report on transportation at the moment, but thank you.
Excellent. Wow. Very quick so far. Next on my list is Dawn Harper. I think she just left the meeting, so maybe either something came up for her or she'll pop back in. We'll
Excuse me.
skip over her for now. And then we have Adam Duvall.
Nothing new to report. Thank you.
All right. Okay, next on my list is Angel Marinich.
Hello. Not a whole lot to report, just that the labor market is improving. So we've been able to acquire several new drivers. Our service has increased. It's basically doubled. So we've been lucky enough to get a few really good drivers. So our service levels are improving, as well as our service in terms of customer service. So we're really excited about that. I'm at a job fair right now, actually, down at the transit center, trying to recruit 10 more so we can keep on being ready for the wave that we expect later this summer. So if you know anyone, we are hiring.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Last we heard there was a driver shortage, so it's good that you're making progress.
Yeah, slowly but surely they're coming back.
Excellent. All right, I think I saw Dawn Harper re-enter, so we're just going through the reports for the different members. So do you have anything to add, Dawn?
No, I'm having internet problems. I've been here the whole time. I just couldn't do anything.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's wanting to come back to Epic now, so we've been working with Transdev to get all of them back to Epic. But other than that, nothing's really been going on.
Okay. All right. So next on my list, I believe, is Renee Razzo.
We're still always looking for part-time drivers, whether it's for our transportation or nutrition program. We're also having our annual golf tournament August 20th at where is it? Metamora Field. It's always the third Friday in August. So if you know anyone who likes to golf or wants to be a sponsor, please refer them to me. I can get them information. And that's about it for right now.
All right, thank you, Renee. Next on my list is Chris Mitchell. Do you have anything you want to comment about, Chris? Maybe still, assuming you're still on. Have you left us? How about now? Try that. I believe you were muted. I heard you for 1 second. No.
Sorry, I don't know what's happening with my phone, but I just got home from using City Lift this morning. I was really pleased that the doctor's office said that they felt that everyone was working together for transportation to and from their office. This was OSF Podiatry. And I had two excellent drivers, one a veteran and one new. And so it went very smoothly.
That's good to hear. Okay, so last on my list is Greg Cassidy.
Yeah, we do have some news that folks may have heard. July 1, we will be merging, acquiring WeCare. So TCRC will be, all of WeCare services are going to continue as they were. We're just hopefully being able to boost up with more administrative support and things like that. But all the transportation will continue as it has. Jeff Adair, who is their longtime person, will continue in that role, and Mike Hutchinson, who has been their CEO, will stay on and consult with us a few hours a week to keep everything, make sure that we're up to date on all the grants. But we're excited about the process that's coming.
Oh, that's great. That's a big thing. Who did you say was the new person in charge there?
I mean, Jeff Adair has been, he's their long-term employee, so he will remain running their shop.
Oh, I see.
You know, he oversees most of the transportation stuff. Mike has always done the grants and been the, you know, the executive officer. So we've created a new position to oversee the grants to make sure that that goes smoothly, and then have folded their programs will fold into ours, and their accounting department will join ours as well.
Okay.
Rima, I have a question for Greg, if that's acceptable at this time. Greg, Brandon Hovey here from Tazewell County Board. Will we care to expand its services to other communities?
We're hoping to, yeah, well, we're hoping to start examining what we can do to expand. They are like right now, so expansion is tough until the market turns around. But we're definitely going to look at different ways we can build off of what they're doing while staying within. You know, there are really tight parameters on some of those grants, so it'll be creating new areas outside of the grants in order to perhaps reach some new communities.
Well, I appreciate hearing that, because that's something that we discussed during the Gray Area Steering Committee. So again, I'm very grateful to hear that, and let me know what I can do to help.
Will do. Thank you much. We'll try and keep everybody updated as it pushes forward here.
Outstanding.
Great to hear. Yeah, sorry, Greg, there was a little bit of feedback coming from you. Okay, we'll end on a bang there. So that would be the end of the provider.
Rima?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Rima, this is Audrey.
Yes, go ahead.
I do have a comment. We received our bus in January, and it's wonderful. Everybody's enjoying it. The problem I'm having, though, I just wondered if anybody else is having it, the lift, when it goes up to be stored, we actually have to use our hand and kind of push it up, and just a little bit, and then it'll go on up. Does anybody else have that trouble?
This is Mark. I know we've had some troubles with the lift. I don't know if it's that specific issue, though.
Okay. I called the place that we picked it up at, and they were supposed to, that was last Wednesday, and they were supposed to send out, or, you know, get in contact within 24 hours. They haven't yet, but I just emailed them again. I just thought, I wondered if anybody else had that issue.
Okay. Yeah, do we have any other providers with lift issues on their vehicles? Or a suggestion for Audrey if she needs to get assistance? All right, it looks like that's about it. I guess hopefully you will hear back from who you do. Otherwise, I would recommend probably IDOT, and I would say Zoe Keller would, if it's not her, then she would have a recommendation for who to contact. She's in charge of their consolidated vehicle procurement program.
All right, thank you very much, Rima.
Yeah. We can talk more offline too. Was there anyone, so I apologize. I finished up the committees, but I didn't ask for anyone else. So we've got, we had Audrey from Snyder Village. How about Jacob Irish? Do you have anything you want to add as an update?
No huge updates. The only area we necessarily serve in this group would be Knox County, so we do have the VNA community services there. So if anybody needs help getting transportation to get vaccinated, anybody over the age of 60, please just let them know and they can get that set up.
Great. Sounds
And
great.
that's all I have.
Thank you, Jacob. Okay, let's see. We have, how about Doug Rolfs? Do you have anything else you'd like to add for the sake of the group?
Well, there's probably all kinds of things I could add, but after a 3-day weekend, my brain's mush. We continued to try to find a replacement for Andy. What I'm going to do is add that position to an assistant operations manager position. So they'll be doing a little more than mobility management. That got posted Friday, so it'll probably be a month before I get any solid candidates. We'll see what happens. I've got some good internal candidates that'll probably apply, and then we'll see what comes out of the public sector as well. I think as Angel touched, the air transit, city lift, and county link are getting up and back to where they should be, so we're happy with that. We will start construction on one of our new buildings first. Well, I want to say it's the first phase, but I think now it's like the third phase of our construction project. They plan to break ground later this month or in July. And the 3 electric battery buses that we've got that are in production right now, I plan on going out in a couple of weeks to look at them in their final stages. We'll take delivery sometime at the end of June, but probably won't see them on the street until August. That's about it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks, Doug. Let's see, we have also Connie on the line. Do you have anything you'd like to add? I will take that as a no, unless. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Did I miss anyone who'd just like to provide an update or give some sort of transit comment? I believe that's everyone. Okay, moving along. So now we've reached the HSTP coordinator report. So that is me. I'm going to start off and talk about 5310 funding. So let me share my screen. All right. So, one second, let's get this in presentation mode if it cooperates. You know what, I'm just gonna keep it this way. It's a little easier to manage if that's all right. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about 5310 funds. Some people who've been with this committee for years are well aware of these funds, but I figure just for my sake, since I learned this information from my predecessor, this was new to me as the HSTP coordinator once I started, and we do have new people as part of the committee. So I'm going to go through and just talk about eligibility for these funds, the funding amounts, things like that.
Hey, Rima, you might ask the question. Can everybody see that?
Can everyone see my screen? I believe it looks like
yes.
it. Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so the 5310 funding stream is specifically for projects that result in increased accessibility to transit for seniors and people with disabilities. So those are the two main populations that we're talking about with this funding. It's called 5310 because that is the name of it from the standpoint of the Federal Transit Administration, the FTA. So this is an option for basically many different organizations to apply throughout the state, but ours is a little bit special because our urbanized area in Peoria receives a direct allocation to our urbanized area specifically. So this applies specifically to our Peoria urban committee members and those who are within our area. We, as Peoria, we receive a regional allocation. We do split this with IDOT, Department of Transportation, 55-45, and I will go into more detail about what that means. So that's just a percentage split. It varies depending on the type of project. So I'll go through this now and it'll kind of clarify a little bit more later. And then we will give an opportunity for organizations to submit potential projects for this funding, and then we will then, grade the projects and allocate the money further to subrecipients. So that's I wanted to show this flow chart because in my mind, it helps me understand just where the money comes from and how it goes. So I have, and by the way, apologies to those on the phone. So I do have a presentation here, although I'm just verbalizing everything regardless, so you're not missing much except for some pretty colors. So this slide outlines the funding amounts. We do receive, currently we're working with 2 fiscal years. And when we say fiscal years, it's the federal fiscal year, since the money we receive is from the Federal Transit Administration. And so that begins in October and it ends in September. So that's the timeline we're looking at from year to year. This year, currently we receive we have 2 fiscal years worth of funding. So when we talk about, and I'm sorry, we're getting a little bit of feedback here, so I'm gonna make sure that you're muted, please, if you're not muted. So the total amount is about $250,000 from FY 2020. A 45% share, which again, I'll discuss this in a minute, is about $114,000 from fiscal year 2021. The total is a little over $255,000, of which the 45% share is about $115,000. And in total, the funding that we have to work with for the non-traditional, aka the 45% share, again, I'll discuss this in a second. What that means is about $230,000. So that's the key number to have in mind, is about $230,000. The eligible recipients of this funds, like I said, they do have to be within the Peoria urbanized area for this specific stream of funding, this allocation. It can be a government agency, so a public entity, public transit provider, or a nonprofit. So private companies cannot apply. However, there is an option. There's a possibility to have a consultant of some sort or a contractor. So if that's the case, it is possible to have a private entity. So these are the eligibility requirements, and all this talk about percentages. This is what it means. So we are required to use at least 55% of the funds for what are called traditional projects. Examples of these are buses and vans, wheelchair lifts, ramps, transit-related IT systems, or this, like I said, acquisition of transit services under a contract or lease. So this, you could potentially use that with a private consultant. So that is 55%, which would require a 20% local match requirement. And the lingo for that is capital project. So that's essentially things like buses, vans. That's what we mean when we say capital. And then on the other hand, we have non-traditional project examples. So these are more than just purchasing a bus or a vehicle. These are can have broader projects. So 45% of that money, remember that 230,000 that I mentioned, those can go to projects such as building accessible bus stop paths, like sidewalks. So it could be infrastructure. A city could choose to do that. It could be improved signage, wayfinding, providing same-day or door-to-door service if there is none, or if the organization wants to expand that with their vehicles. And finally, purchasing vehicles to support ride-sharing or van pooling programs. There's an initiative in Washington Township that Jim Bremner is working on. I don't think he's on this call today, but that would be relevant there. For example, they're using taxis for that, so that might be eligible there. And for projects such as this, it would be considered operational, so kind of more on the administrative side. And that would require a 50% local match requirement. So if this project falls into these categories, is selected, then that entity would pay for half, and then the federal government would pay for the other half. So after all that, what does this even mean for us? The next steps would be we want to ask you to begin thinking of potential projects. Troy County in the past has opened up a call for projects, but it's been several years. Again, this is just for the urbanized area in and around Peoria. So that's just the scope that we have in this case. Potentially this funding could be used to open up more options in the gray area, so the parts of the urbanized area that do not currently have adequate transportation. Perhaps we could use it for microtransit options. That's essentially like you think of Uber or Lyft, but it would be kind of in the public domain and ADA accessible. So they would have ramps and or lifts. We are hoping still to do a call for projects in June. We have not set a date. It might be closer to the end of June, depending on how everything works on our end. And then we're hoping to have a selection committee within our HSTP committee that helps grade these projects. And if you would want to be a part of that, then I can give you a lot more information about that. Then finally, we will review and grade these projects and ultimately apply for funding through the FTA. Again, that's Federal Transit Administration. Even though we are allocated money, we do still have to apply just to make sure each project is actually eligible. So I hope that helps anyone who is brand new to this subject. I kind of had to learn this from the ground up, so I wanted to show each step of the way and all the details there.
Yeah, I was just going to make a comment, Rima, on the Peoria side of things, is that I appreciate the information you shared, because there are a couple of those related to the sidewalk and curb cuts and those kind of things that are within the scope of Walkability Institute information and planning that's going to go on within the city of Peoria, as well as wayfinding, which has a multiple kind of stakeholders in from the Downtown Development Corporation of the city of Peoria to other groups. And so I just want to mention that
okay. You
and I ought to just check signals to see where those crossovers are and where that, because everybody is looking for money and funding sources for things that, so any, even if we've got, crossover needs and issues, it'd be good to understand what those are and what the opportunities are for seeking funding. So
Okay.
anyway,
Are,
thank you.
Are we eligible for any of this, or is this just Peoria?
Right, so this pot of money is only for Peoria. However, there are organizations outside of Peoria that do receive this funding. That would be, they would apply directly through the state. So it's just a slightly different process. And I believe there are some on this call that, some individuals with organizations that have this funding that have had to apply directly through the state because they're outside of the urbanized area. So yes, it is available.
So are those fundings for Stark County, for instance? Are those, who are those?
So that is open statewide for any organization that is eligible. I believe, for example, VNA services, as Jacob Irish mentioned, in Knox County, I believe they are funded through 5310. They just had to apply through the state rather than through us. So it's kind of confusing in that way. That's why I wanted to make a presentation about it. It's just a little bit, hopefully makes it a little bit easier to understand. It's clear as mud, of course, as many government entities are.
But could you, is there a single source of that information, Rima, that you could share with everyone, or?
I mean, if everyone is interested, it's kind of a long read. I know Gabe has been reading that too, but there's a circular through the Federal Transit Administration that does outline these tasks. The wording is easy to understand. It's just, there's a lot of it. So I can send that along, and if people have specific notes in there, that they can just look that up.
Can you send that to me?
Yes.
Thank you.
I will. And this does get into the nitty gritty a little bit, but again, I just, for myself and hopefully for some of you, I just wanted to put this out there. This is how this funding stream works. So after all that, would there be anyone here interested in being part of a selection committee to help select these projects? All right, I see Brandon in the room has raised his hand. Is anyone on the phone or online interested?
I'd be glad to help. This is Mark.
All right, thank you, Mark. Okay, and feel free to, go ahead.
This is Chris Mitchell. If you could send me what you're sending the other gentleman, I'd think about it and get back to you.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. And feel free to let me know later. It doesn't have to be now, but appreciate everyone volunteering. And it just has to be a small committee, so it doesn't, we don't need too many people. All right, so that is the end of that. That was a bit of a long-winded one.
Do you have to be a member of this group to be a member of the committee? I was just wondering if Doug might have somebody from CityLink, somebody else on staff there.
I think it would be at our discretion, and if it's up to me, then that would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just let me know later on if that's something you or someone else would like to do. Just a small group of people is good enough. All right. And with that, I think the rest of the meeting will be a little bit more straightforward here. So I will move on to my next thing, which is interviews. So what we want to do, since we have new people on the committee, and we are slowly getting ready to update our Human Service Transportation Plan document. This document, last time we updated it was 2016. We're hoping to start that process maybe July, maybe summer, fall. So it's coming, it's on the horizon. And so we're interested in reaching out to some committee members just to have short interviews and understand what each organization does, what they want out of the HSTP committee, and just to begin planning for goals and recommendations in that document. So we might reach out to you. If you are okay with that, then we can conduct a short informational interview, or you can recommend someone else within your agency. So just letting you all know about that. And finally, I just wanted to note about future meetings. So this one, we open it up to have a hybrid meeting. We may continue, I believe we will continue to do this in the future, but does anyone have comments about the meeting format? Would you come in person, or you would still be able to join online, I believe? Does anyone have comments about the meeting format?
Yeah. I think it's a good choice that that you can have a choice. So, but I had problem with this today. I missed most of the 5310. I tried to get on, and I just couldn't. So I don't know what happened.
Okay, yeah, and we do have this recorded. So once, yeah, anyone who has missed the whole meeting or some sort of choppy connection, we'll put that online. I'll send it an email.
So just to that point, is this presentation that you gave today, is that going to be on our website, or can that be shared with a link to everybody?
I can email that to everyone as well. Yeah, so you can see all the visuals with that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Rima, you do a really good job of inclusion. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. Okay. Well, you can also think about that if you just want to email me or call me. If you then please just let me know. All right. Okay, I'll move it along. We're getting close to the hour. So that would conclude my HSTP coordinator report. I'll just ask if anyone has questions about anything I talked about. I know I kind of fanning you with the fire hose there. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move along. The next thing on the list is the gray area study update. I'm actually going to keep this a little bit short because I will share more via email. Essentially, we held a steering committee meeting last week. So a few people on this call are part of the steering committee and have heard about where the gray area study has landed. So this is very close to being in a document form. It lays out recommendation for how to fill existing transit gaps. Again, in this case, this project is for Peoria, the urbanized area. But hopefully if there are transit gaps in your community that's outside of the urbanized area, you can use it as a guide. For example, this project is actually funded through 5310, and that's why there are limits on the scope geographically. But that's one example of a 5310 project. We had our consultant, Lockmuir, do most of the work here. So they recommended some options in the short and long term. Again, I am going to refer to my further email, and we could put it in on our website just for the sake of time today. But essentially, some recommendations involved potentially having a fixed route commuter to Washington and Morton, because those two areas in the urbanized area were selected. Currently, they have limited or no transit options, and that was a need that was suggested. Potentially more demand response transit, so that's where you call in advance and request a ride. and they would come door to door. And or microtransit. So this is a kind of a new term. It represents the idea of using something like Uber or Lyft. So that's also same style as demand response, but you can use your phone. You can request it in advance, and it could potentially be there sooner than the typical demand response period, which is 24 hours in advance. But this is a more technologically savvy option. And these vehicles would have ADA lift or ramp capabilities. And there is a lot more than that, but our consultants laid it out a lot better. So again, I will relay those updates in an email and on our website in the future.
Is that, just out of curiosity, Rima, is what they have researched so far, because that's a whole developing niche of the micro transit. Has that been demonstrated in other metropolitan areas in interfacing with Uber and Lyft and having agreements with those types of organizations?
So this microtransit concept has been done elsewhere. It's usually, I believe, not coordinating with Uber and Lyft. I think it's separate, but it uses the same concept of potentially using an app and requesting a ride, but it's actually on the public side, so it'll be publicly funded rather than privately funded. So this has been done, and we can use other cities as potential models moving forward. So that's.
It would seem that would be very beneficial, and obviously it accelerates the response and is more personal, if you will.
Yeah,
than other forms that might be able to kind of enhance the whole transportation process.
And of course, this requires a lot of logistics and planning from that end, and resources. So it's not a simple thing just to put in place, but that's just to understand the terminology there and see what type of options are available. So I believe I'm going to end the gray area study update there. And I didn't fill in all the gaps, but does anyone have further questions or comments?
Sorry, Reno, I don't mean to monopolize the questions, but when is the study proposed to be completed?
By the end of this June. So draft will be out very soon, and there will be a time to look through it and understand all the intricacies of what has gone down.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So trying to keep it within an hour. Unless we have any comments, I think.
Rima, this is Doug at CityLink. One of the other things we've got going on, well, we've got a lot of things. You talked about the microtransit study, the gray area study, and then also what we're looking at, and this came through the, I can't remember what they're all called, but the Central Business Visitor Bureau. The guys downtown that had the bike program a few years ago. So they reached out to me because First Transit also does bike programs. And so the short of it is we're looking at an app with Lyft, because that's who First Transit contracts with, called Ride Peoria. And you'd be able to schedule any kind of ride, a bike ride, a fixed route, demand response, gray area, microtransit. And we're just kind of in the early stages of that. But by the time we get all these studies done, it'll be interesting to see where we're at and what we can get going. Because I think they're all going to hit about the same time. So we'll just have to sort through it and see what we can get started and what takes off and what doesn't. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's great to hear. So, Doug, your connection is iffy. Okay, hold on. Somebody's trying to comment.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. I'll type it out and get it to you.
I think just to summarize, I think everyone hopefully heard, but I'll summarize it quickly. It sounded like there's a potential app for Peoria in the works to request a ride, whether that's a transit vehicle or bike options. So that sounds great. That sounds like it'll solve a lot of problems.
And Doug, is that coordinated with Enjoy Peoria, the Convention Visitors Bureau? Is that what you said with JD Alfonso and that group?
Yeah, correct. That's who we've been working with. Right now, they're trying to find their old bikes to see if we can get the technology updated to what they need for the app.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I think I'll close that gray area study update agenda item there. We're on to other. Does anyone have any other item to bring up today? All right. Hearing none. We are just after the hour. So we've reached agenda item number 9. Our next meeting is August 3rd. I will give more information. I will say almost definitely that meeting will also be a hybrid. So you will have the option to either come in person or call or join online. So I guess I will, does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion.
So we have the first, Mr. House. Is there a second to adjourn the meeting?
Second, Hubby.
Excellent. All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks.
All right.